Hi everyone, Marine here for lawnfawn. I am so happy to be back on the channel, it's been a while. And I am even more happy because today's card features the new Tada Diorama die set, as well as 3 fall fairies and a whole bunch of other stuff. You know me, I love busy cards. And this new interactive die is perfect because it allows you to put many images on the front and even more on the inside. Today's card was also inspired by the one I made for Release Week back in August. This one features the fun scrolls from Let's Go Nuts. I used Into the Woods papers to build the diorama, and I love those papers so much I thought it would be fun to make an identical one, but with different characters. And I've always wanted to turn the fairy friends into fall fairies, so that was the perfect timing. So we are going to build the diorama first, but we still need to take a look at the items we're going to use. Like I said, I am going to use some papers from the Into the Woods paper pack and one from the Fall Fling paper pack. We have 2 fairies from Fairy Friends, the house from Frosty Fairy Friends, a gnome for the lantern and 2 mushrooms, Forest Feast for another mushroom, and Gleeful Gardens for another one and the snail. Happy Harvest for the big sunflowers and stems. Joy to the Woods for the log. Christmas Fishes for the small rocks. Big Acorn for the leaf. Let's Go Nuts for the small acorn. Fly High for the banner that will decorate the house. Elephant Parade add-on for the pinwheel. Extraordinary Easter for the grass. Winter Birds for the big branch. Hey there hayrides for the Have a Happy Fall greeting. And finally the small eyelets die from the honeycomb shaker gift tag die set. So I started off by cutting my diorama panels. We have 2 main pieces, 2 side panels, 2 hillside inserts, and 2 bands. Those bands won't be visible, so their color doesn't matter. I am going to work on one of the main panels first. We're going to need the bands as well, and the window creator die to cut an opening in the middle of our panel. I am just eyeballing it and keeping the die in place with washi tape. And then I can send those pieces to my die cutting machine to cut the panel. And now we have our front panel. Now those 2 bands, they have score lines on both sides. Here you can see those lines. We are going to fold the score lines on each band, just like that. And I am going to add double-sided tape on those 4 tabs. Now we are going to stick both bands at the back of our panel. So I am flipping my panel over and I peel the backing papers of the tabs. I am folding those tabs behind and I am going to stick the band right there. I am just lining up the notch on the band with the notch on the panel, and that creates some kind of a sleeve that we're going to recreate on the opposite side. So I am peeling the backing papers. Next, I am folding the tabs behind, and I am attaching the band, making sure to align the notch on the band with the notch on the panel. And now we have 2 sleeves. We are done with the first part. So far so good, that was easy. Next, we are going to work on the side panels, the ones that will open and shut the diorama. Those 2 side panels have score lines, but with the wooden pattern we cannot see them clearly, so I am going to fold them to make those lines more visible, and then we will cut some slots. So now we can see the score lines and see how I placed the panels in a symmetrical way. We have a big rectangle on the left end and a big rectangle on the right end. This is how I like to place them to make sure I cut the slots properly. And speaking of which, let's bring the slot creator dies. There is one for each panel, and we want to place them between the 2 score lines and right up against the bottom edge of the panels. The slot die with the little foot towards the left goes on the left-hand panel, and the slot with the little foot towards the right goes on the right-hand panel. So I used washi tape to keep the dies in place and run the pieces through my die cutting machine to cut 2 slots on both panels, just like that. Now we want to add adhesive on both panels. We're going to apply it on the slim sections. And next we're going to attach the panels on the second panel that we cut at the beginning. I like to place that second panel between my side panels. Now we can peel the backing papers. I am folding the panel in half, and I am going to stick it on my birch tree panel, making sure to align my folded panel left edge with the very edge of the birch tree panel. And if there is some of the back panel showing at the top and bottom, this is what we want. That means the side panel is lined up and centered properly on our back panel. Now let's remove the remaining backing papers. Just like the other, I am folding this side panel in half, and I am going to stick it right up against the first side panel, just like so. This way I am sure that both panels are all lined up, and we can already see how the diorama is going to work. It's perfect. Now let's bring the hillside inserts. They both have a little tab on the 4 corners with a score line. So first thing first, we are going to fold all those tabs. This will help us slide the inserts into the slots. So I am going to put the left end of my insert into that slot. And once it's in it, we can unfold the tabs and do the same with the right end of my insert. And then again, we can do the same with the second hillside insert, super quick and easy. Our little scenery is almost done. The last thing to do is to bring the front panel, and we are going to slide the side panels into the sleeves recreated at the back, starting with the left side, sliding into the sleeve, and then the right side into the other sleeve. And our tada diorama is finished. It looks super cool. I love the dimension and depth. It's such a brilliant design. I really love it. And so before moving on to the coloring, I still want to add a few more details, like those eyelets. I am just eyeballing and making a pencil dot on both sides. I am going to use my crocodile to pierce 2 tiny holes. Next, I will stick the eyelets and then add a piece of twine on each side. And one more step and our card base will be totally finished. I cut a 4.5 by 3.25 inches craft card base, and I am going to stick my diorama on top of it. I am just folding it flat to attach it more easily. And now it's time to move on to the coloring. You saw it at the beginning of the video. I picked many images from different sets. I stamped them on Transo-type perfect coloring paper using lawnfawn jet black ink. As always, I used the coordinating dies to cut them all, and I am going to color everything using my alcohol markers. And to match the Into the Woods papers I used to make the diorama, I am using green, yellow, orange, turquoise, and red to color my images. So we are done with the coloring. It's time to stick everything on the card. I am going to start with the front panel, and to make it more comfortable for me, I am removing the panel, and I will put it back in place once I'm done with all the sticking process. I am using foam squares mostly to attach the images, with a little bit of liquid glue at some places. Now let's move on to the inside of the card. I am going to start with the background, and once again, to be more comfortable, I removed the first hillside insert. I am going to use foam squares to stick the sunflowers directly on the birch tree background. And then I will use 3mm glue dots and liquid glue to attach the house and a few other things on the hillside. You want to put the bigger piece in the middle of the hillside. Here it's the house. And if you put images beside your big image, you want to make sure that these will be able to slide into the slots on both sides. Here my leaves were too high and I couldn't shut the diorama properly, so I had to move them a little bit lower. And that's why it's important to close and shut the diorama often during the sticking process. This way you make sure that there is no image interfering in the mechanism. So now let's put the first hillside insert back. I am going to stick the images the same way I stuck the ones on the other hillside. I am attaching the bigger image, a fairy, in the middle of the insert. And for the images I want to put on her side, I am making sure that these will be able to slide into the slots on both sides. I am sticking those images using 3mm glue dots and liquid glue. And once again, I am going to shut and open the diorama several times during the process to make sure that there is no image interfering in the mechanism. So I am all done. The inside of the diorama looks good to me. So I am going to put the front panel back in place by sliding the side panels into the sleeves just like that. And the final step is to add my embossed greeting on the front of the card using foam squares. And that's it, all done! It is so cute and it was so fun to bring the Fairy Friends back, an oldie but goodie stem set, and probably the first lawnfawn stem set I bought back in the days when I started making cards. Well, I hope that you like this card. Maybe it will inspire you to make your own. And how about a winter version? I think it would look fabulous. Thank you so much for stopping by and for watching this video. Have an amazing day and see you in the next one. Bye!